Okay. Hopefully my volume's good. It looks like it's working this time. Yeah, man, still a rookie. Make rookie mistakes. I went live earlier and yeah, anyway, the I didn't even have my headset on. So, because my computer's microphone doesn't work, so I have to use my JBL headset. But anyway, that was the famous inspirational artist Alex Michael, also known as Conspiracy Music Guru. So thank you for that awesome song, man. That was amazing. Um, I don't know you that I haven't met you in person, but man, I'm proud of you, brother. I've watched you grow as a musician, and yeah, man, awesome. And I'm still working on a project that you let me use the solfeggio, heart and crown instrumental. So yep, still working on that slowly but surely. I want it to be good. But anyway, welcome. I see we have one guest right now. That's great. We're just getting started. So I'm gonna just briefly let you know about what the title is and why I'm taking that route because here recently I've had a lot of things come up um, that merge into the complete story of what you know um, the Taurus magic, the ever spinning motion that pretty much brings together with magnetism and electric currents matter into clumps and what we call material, but it all starts with the movement. And so I have a few things that are going to tie together. I think you guys might like. So if you're into this kind of thing, stick around. And yeah, man, I'm going to stop yapping. I'm just going to put it up here on the screen and we can get busy, man. Sound is good. Thank you, Brian, bro. You're always coming through for me on that. Appreciate that, brother. Hope you're doing good, man. Merry Christmas. I know it's not quite Christmas, but Merry Christmas anyway. Damn it. You know, it don't have to be Christmas to tell you Christmas. Uh, Christmas wishes, right? Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start out with let me just bring it up and I will show you guys what's going on. Hopefully you can see my screen, Brian, and what I'm pulling up. If you can see the entire screen, that was kind of my reason. So I did do that on purpose. That way I can keep up with everything. And yeah, man. So let's see, where was I at? Right here. Okay, I'm going to start with this, and I'll be pausing periodically to kind of tie things together. It's going to be probably about a 2 or 3 hour stream for sure. That way I can get all the details in, and yeah, man, we'll go from there. All right, here we go. Let's go here. And okay, so check this out. I'm going to rewind just a little bit at the very beginning. So what we're looking at here, the very first image is well, that's an astronaut. Okay, here we are. Um, so this is in the upper atmosphere. Okay, this is old stock footage from like I think the 80s, where most or a lot of people don't believe in satellites. Like as far as like these huge machines flying around, defying gravity. I don't believe in that either. I believe that there are ways to, as it gets colder up there, to lock things into place into low Earth orbit. There's a lot of evidence for that. But anyway, this is uh, you know beings. Let's start out with that. The something called plasma, right? But I wholeheartely believe this is what they were talking about the luminaries, right? Way back when in the Bible and other cultures, they looked up and seen what people call stars nowadays. Well, those things are actually super close, a whole lot closer than we realize. And so this is just some old footage, but I've tried to blow the whistle quite a few times on, these types of authentic videos, and you'll see in just a second how these things zip across the screen like at tremendous speeds. And then I'm going to correlate that with some other amateur video that a friend of mine does a lot of recording, right? And he uses low light camera technology because you can't see these things with the naked eye. Um, uh, so yeah, it's very interesting. But we'll watch a little bit of this, and then I'll jump back over and see if we have any questions. Oh, and heads up, guys, I don't believe everything that all these people say. Okay, I believe a lot of what I can piece together on my own. So you guys form your own opinions. I'm not trying to push anything on you. Trust me. It's taken me a long time to really get to where I'm at, to where I comprehend and understand on a fractal level, right? As above, so below, kind of in, uh, as within, so without, as well. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that. And that right there, guys, that's the atmosphere, the lighter white line there going across, and then it kind of gets darker as it goes up to the left hand corner there. Well, that's the land. So you're looking at the atmosphere that, a lot of people, when they do amateur balloon videos where they send up high altitude weather balloons or just balloons to look at things, right? Well, you also see that blue line way off in the distance, and it's pretty, it's compelling, right? Like it's nothing like super special, but in these older videos like this, they're a little higher up than most weather balloons get. So looking down and seeing that, so it's pretty cool. It looks pretty flat to me though. All right, here we go. See that one shoot across like that. Here in a minute, when I play the video of some amateur footage, you'll see a lot of those that just zip by at tremendous speeds. Um, yeah, but anyway, here we go. This, what I like about this one, it's from the upper atmosphere looking down, right? That's the cool thing. And then we can compare from the ground footage looking up and determine from that. You could deduce from, if you see the same things, it's like, okay, that's pretty legit, and right. But here we go. Did you see those two zip by just now? That's crazy, bro. It's like they were racing or some shit. But once again, what we're looking at is the dark part on the left side of the upper screen, going toward the middle. That's land, that's Earth down there, and then you have as it starts to get lighter and lighter to that thick white band, that's the atmosphere. So um, in in color, it would be blue, right? That what we see when we send up weather balloons. So this is just a black and white copy. I don't know why it's so fuzzy, but I've seen this several times throughout my journey. When YouTube used to have like all the STS missions and stuff like that, like you would, you know, it's low Earth orbit, right? Or mid, like low Earth orbit to upper atmosphere. So yeah, just keep that in mind. It's not like in space, like 400,000 miles out to the moon and all that. No, bro, it ain't like that. This is super low compared to like what they claim the moon is, right? Or where the sun is. This is relatively close to the Earth. But here we go. Pay attention, guys, to this right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but you see the little line? It's way more defined. Keep that. Oh, sorry. Keep that in mind because it's going to come in handy in just uh yeah, just a little bit. So here we go. And that one just came out of nowhere, bro. It's crazy. Yeah, these plasmas in the atmosphere, they're they're attracted to the charge in thunderstorms, which is really cool. And then you can tell they'll get lower and lower and lower toward the Earth. Uh, yeah. Anyway, here we go. Sorry about that, guys. Mhm. Keep that in mind too, guys. If anyone's listening or watching this now, um, I'm not over in the comments, but that's very important about like this breathing process, this shell that forms. That's the main part of the plasma, right? Before it's a plasmoid, it's of course spinning at a high rate, but once it forms that shell, when they talk about like a comparison of does a plasmoid breathe like us? Uh, no, but it does have a pulsating uh, inhalation, right? Of how do you say it? Like just extremely, extremely small. And I'm going to show you research on this, but when it inhales, right, and it gets this matter within it, then it's a complete uh, plasmoid, right? Because then it has the ability to air quotes breathe, right? And it's once it has a steady uh, um, oscillation, right? Then it's pretty much fully formed then. And I'll go into more later. I don't want to ramble on too much, but let's get back to it. Which would be the magnetic forces of the toroid. That's the main thing that brings all of this together to form what we call a plasmoid. Once again, they twist, hinting at the toroidal force, right? The motion of and the what brings them together, or actually what pushes them together. It doesn't attract is the magnetic force, right? It yeah. Anyway, it's a symmetrical force from all sides, right? And as it twists, that's what brings together yeah these charges in plasmoids. It's just beautiful. But what I was about to say is what was I about to tell you guys? It'll come back to me. Uh, yeah, it'll come back to me. once again, that looks pretty damn flat to me, you guys, I'd say. All right, here we go. Okay, guys, you'll see this in another video here in a few minutes. Uh, Dr. Emoto has a lot of research. Whoops, damn it, why did it do that? Sorry, guys. That's my bad. Let's see, let me go back. But yeah, the self-organizing properties. What is? Sorry, I'm fast forwarding a little bit. Where did I go? There it was. Um, but yeah, like I was saying, there's a lot of you know, deep research and yeah, stuff you guys can look up. You know, white papers, whatever you guys call it, peer reviewed. Anyway, I mean, all this shit is legit. It's nothing that, you know, and it's becoming a big topic, you know. So I wanted to cover that, but tie it together with about 4 or 5 different um, scientists that really inspired me to do this work, right? So, but anyway, here we go. Uh,
of the hunters of the thermosphere and find out how the most incredible military reports on UAPs align perfectly with the physics of complex sentient.
yeah, did I do that again? Oh, yeah. So there was no. Could you guys hear it? Yeah, could you guys hear the video? Sound is good. Nothing showing on YouTube. It's just your avatar square. I hear you. Great. But okay. Damn, I'm sorry, man. It's just your avatar square. I hear you great, but that's it. So Big Pine, did you hear the video? from the upper atmos at lightning. Okay. Okay, I see. Let's see the video, man. Just having to imagine it. Okay. Okay. I got you, man. Let me see if I can share this now with okay. Hey, I'm gonna hit the play button and let me know if you can hear it or see it. Okay, Big Pun. Sorry about that, guys. I make such rookie mistakes all the time. All right, let's get back at it. Let's see.
Plasma life.
This is deep mind-bending stuff, and we want to know what you think. If life started as a plasma template, are we just biochemical puppets guided by an underlying organized electromagnetic reality? Let us know in the comments below.
And if your mind is racing right now and you're hooked on this concept, please enthusiastically like and subscribe and join our memberships. We're just moving from the lab bench to the upper atmosphere. You don't want to miss this next section. Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Okay, cool. You hear it now. Were you able to see a video? It says see your screen now. Okay, did you see the not this one that you see now, but the actual video that I was playing? I'll wait till I hear back from you. That way I know I'm doing it right this time. That's weird. I always forget one step, it seems like. See your screen now. Big Pine, do you see just my face on the screen now, or did you see the video I was playing? I'm going to play it back right quick, and if you can see the actual video, just give me a 1 or thumbs up or something like that. That'd be awesome.
We're moving out of the safe, controlled environment of the lab and into the most mysterious territory imaginable, the Earth's upper atmosphere.
We're shifting focus now to the hunters of the thermosphere and the theory that UAPs are not technology from another star system, but self-organizing plasmoids
that represent a fourth domain of life living right here.
And when you look at the phenomenon UAPs through the lens of complex self-organizing plasma, the inexplicable behavior suddenly makes perfect sense.
These entities, these plasmoids, are living, breathing entities of dusty plasma.
That's the theory.
Let's pull from the highly credible military encounters that have surfaced in recent years. The reports from Navy pilots like Ryan Graves and David Fravor. They seem to align perfectly with what you'd expect if these were sentient plasma life forms, not conventional aircraft.
The maneuvers are physically impossible for mass-based objects. I mean, think about the reports. Objects descending 80,000 feet in less than a second.
Right.
Accelerating from a dead stop up to Mach 1 almost instantly. Holding position against extreme hurricane-force winds with no visible thrust or lift.
And the most baffling of all, making these impossible turns like sudden J-hooks and retrograde orbits.
An aircraft, even one made of exotic metals, would just disintegrate. Or the pilot would be killed by the G-forces.
But if these are plasma entities, they don't have those physical constraints.
Let's see. All right. I see 2 people in here. Could you let me know if you guys can hear me okay? And if you can see the video I'm playing, because I'm going to play it back right now. And if you guys can see the actual video, I would appreciate a thumbs up or a 1 or something like that, just to let me know. Thank you. All right, here we go. I'm going to play it back.
Exactly. They obey electromagnetic laws, not aerodynamic or inertial laws.
Yeah.
They have essentially no physical inertia in the way we understand it.
So their motion is controlled by internal currents.
Right. The internal currents within such complex plasma structures can reach staggering velocities. We're talking 5 to 50 kilometers per second.
Wow.
So the fact
thank
they
you, Ryan.
lack visible propulsion or control surfaces is perfectly consistent with an electromagnetic entity that maneuvers by manipulating its internal magnetic fields and density. They essentially surf on magnetic fields.
And their interaction with us is also electromagnetic. The reports of these things disrupting our technology are pretty well known.
Yes. Encounters frequently involve the shorting out of electronics, navigational gear, radar systems. David Fravor's big encounter involved the jamming of his advanced APG-73 radar.
So that wasn't an attack.
Well, given that these plasmoids are high energy, self contained electromagnetic entities, their attraction to and emission of powerful electromagnetic radiation would make this disruption a predictable biological function, maybe even a defensive mechanism.
Okay, let's talk intelligence. The evidence suggests these aren't just natural, chaotic spheres of lightning. They show complex, purposeful, and aware behavior.
The sources detail some striking examples of what looks like communication. They seem to use a language of light, oscillating rapidly in brightness and size as they approach or pass other plasmoids.
So the pulsing light is a signal, a kind of advanced electromagnetic bioluminescence.
That's the hypothesis, a species that talks to its own using flashes of light and changes in energy output.
Fascinating. And they exhibit social structure and reproductive acts.
Absolutely. Observers have documented them merging with other plasmoids, maybe to share energy or information, and forming these multi-plasma bridges that link them together across huge distances.
And they split.
They engage in that classic plasma mitosis, splitting due to electrical stress. They even eject smaller, targeted messenger plasmas to trigger specific behaviors like attraction or aggregation or repulsion in other plasmoids.
That is
And we're going to see that, guys, here in a few minutes, to where, you know, under a microscope, an electron microscope, actually a very powerful microscope, you can see the moment that these toroid forces, right, are it shows a twist, an opposite twist, actually, like just like a torus would. But when you see it for yourself under the microscope, it's crazy to look at, because some of these plasmoids, when they're finally formed all the way, they'll bust open from too much electrical force, and what comes out of it, like outside of the plasmoid shell, is just like you just said. It's little tiny, um, perfectly measured out, like um, baby baby plasmoids. I guess that's the best way to put it. But yeah. Anyway, we'll get back to it. I just get excited to show you guys this stuff. Here we go.
sophisticated social and reproductive behavior.
It's a whole ecosystem.
This sounds like a fully fledged parallel biosphere existing right above us, complete with its own food chain. And the sources categorize these plasmoids based on predatory behavior, which they frame as energy cannibalism.
It's a compelling ecosystem model. We can categorize the 4 behavioral archetypes based on what they've been observed doing.
Let's start with the most dramatic, the hunters.
These are the aggressive plasmoids. They actively target and strike other more passive types like the floaters and grazers.
And when a hunter attacks,
It is often observed ejecting streams of glowing clouds or particles right before or after striking. This strongly implies energy transfer. They are literally consuming the electromagnetic energy of the other plasmoid.
energy vampires of the thermosphere, what are they hunting and grazing on?
They hunt the grazers and floaters. Grazers are sort of semi-passive plasmas, sometimes shaped like clouds or rings. They just passively feed on ambient electromagnetic energy.
And the floaters?
Critically, some floaters are described as being attached to these massive, twisting filaments of plasma called Birkeland currents in the thermosphere.
What exactly is a Birkeland current for those of us who don't spend our time in the magnetosphere?
Think of them as cosmic energy pipelines. They're massive, twisted pairs of electrical currents that flow along a planet's magnetic field lines, channeling energy from the magnetosphere down into the atmosphere,
So the floaters attach to these currents.
and effectively tether themselves to a massive, stable energy source.
They're like deep sea organisms anchored to thermal vents.
Also, check out these. If you can see my mouse, so there's the center, right? That's that would be particle, right, or something, whatever, however you want to look at it, a molecule or a cell, right? Is this part in the very middle. Now, on one side, it's a northern polarity spin, right? And on this side, it would be a southern polarity spin. And when they meet in the middle here, it creates these forces on the outside ring. So then, this is a 2D, or well, a little bit of a 3D. But anyway, as these things break down or grow, should I say, as they grow, then this isn't the only toroid spinning. There are also little ones that are spinning inside of the tube of this torus, right, of the bigger torus. And this kind of shows you here where things are jetting out, And we'll get to see that too, very up close here in a little bit. And also, you'll get to see this in a vacuum with plasma jets that'll shoot out of the center. So you could look at it like this.
Sucking up volcanic heat. But
Sorry.
these are atmospheric organisms sucking up planetary current.
Exactly. And the hunters
Sorry, let me go back. But as this grows, this whole
stable
system.
energy source.
Dang it! Stop doing that. So just this little guy here, right here, as it grows, and then these start to form in the torus around this, the big torus here. I don't want to press play again, but this big torus here. Well, this is a replica, a smaller replica of this.
They're like deep sea or.
And as this one grows, as it gets wider and wider, this will mimic this system, right? So it's a fractal. It's a fractal system, right? So as they grow, some say as they mature, right? 9 out of 10 times, it's going to hold its shape until the forces from here in the center.
Organisms anchored to thermal vents sucking up volcanic heat. But these are atmospheric organisms sucking up planetary current.
Exactly. Semi-passive plasma. They're massive, twisted pairs of electrical currents that flow along a pulling energy from the magnetic.
I'm not going to touch my screen now. So this, now where my mouse is, right? As it loses its power or force, then this outside ring torus will fall apart, and these little ones will then be independent and grow as this one did. Okay, see, it's all fractal from the smallest to galaxies, right? Which galaxies are pretty small and local. Most people don't look at it that way, but I do. But anyway, all right, here we go.
Sphere down into the atmosphere.
So the floaters attach to these currents
and effectively tether themselves to a massive, stable energy source.
They're like deep sea organisms anchored to thermal vents sucking up volcanic heat. But these are atmospheric organisms sucking up planetary current.
Exactly. And the hunters target these attached floaters specifically.
Because they represent a rich, localized energy source, the hunters treat the Birkeland currents as hunting grounds.
That's the idea.
And the final archetype, the one that probably accounts for most historical sightings.
The thunderstorm divers. These are pulsating, brightly illuminated plasmas that exhibit purposeful movement toward and descend directly into major lightning storms.
A lightning storm is a huge concentrated energy source.
A massive one. They typically arrive alone or in pairs and then penetrate the storm without disintegrating. They're often seen leaving the chaos in organized V formations.
Yeah.
Well, guys, look at A and B here. So they're pretty well organized in like lines and rows. But if you look at B, look closely, you will see like a distortion in the color on one side. On the left, it looks as if, yeah, there's like a little line of blue, and then there's a red tint as well. This is on a small scale, your red shift and blue shift. Okay. So when you look out at the sky, you know, the cosmic microwave background, they say, and you look at this distribution of, you know, what's further away or what's closer, what's hot or colder, right? This happens as well on a very, very small scale. So keep that in mind.
And this behavior perfectly explains historical phenomena like ball lightning and a lot of non-military UAP sightings.
It lines up very well.
So we have a sophisticated, self-sustaining ecosystem powered by planetary currents and lightning strikes. But let's go bigger. If this life form is optimized for survival, could an interstellar version exist?
The sources suggest we can apply this plasma lens to the interstellar object 3I Atlas.
The third interstellar visitor we've detected. Astronomers really struggled to explain its behavior, right? Some were suggesting it was an alien light sail.
They did, but the plasma hypothesis offers a really elegant solution. A highly evolved, natural yet intelligent macroplasma life form.
What was its most shocking behavior?
Its interaction with the sun. On September 24th and 25th, 2025, 3I Atlas was hit directly by a massive coronal mass ejection.
An incredibly intense burst of plasma from the sun.
And instead of being vaporized or thrown off course, the object just absorbed these massive energies and continued its journey seemingly unaffected.
That's beyond just being resilient. That's purposeful assimilation of energy.
It behaved exactly like an electric vehicle recharging at a charging station. It used the sun's plasma ejection as its power source.
Which suggests
The guys right here where my mouse is again, they're talking about the ejection, right? From the middle of this, torus and plasma. So these we're going to see live. You're going to see these jets, right? We're going to look at some that are above our heads, right? And then we're going to look at some that are in the lab in a vacuum, and we're going to match them up and see, what's the commonalities between these micro and macro ejection jet systems, right? What's necessary for them to function, and how can we recreate that, right? Like what geometry needs to be used in a lab to mimic what we see above our heads, right? Think about that for a minute. Here we go.
it's evolved a highly powerful plasma-based coma, a magnetic sheath, to navigate the cosmos and draw energy from stars.
A very advanced one, yes. And its composition supports this biological interpretation.
What do they find?
Its coma was found to have unusually large amounts of nickel, carbon dioxide, and cyanide. And these are noted in the sources as key components that help generate and maintain stable, complex plasma structures.
So it's not just a rocky comet. It's an object highly optimized for plasma life and propulsion.
And its trajectory, moving opposite the sun in a retrograde manner along the ecliptic, also suggests an intelligent, purposeful navigation system.
We have breathing cells in a lab and massive sentient hunters in our atmosphere and interstellar space. Now let's shift our gaze slightly higher and talk about the ultimate architecture of intelligence, the moon's hidden supercomputer.
This is maybe the most audacious application of dusty plasma science, the theory that non-biological intelligence is actively computing on a scale that dwarfs human comprehension.
Let me come over here, guys. Let me make sure that I am not messing up like I've done all evening. Goodness gracious. Go back one more time.
You're able to see things
Uh,
that you haven't been able to see before.
Okay, excuse me, guys. That's not the one. I think I messed up on that one. Let me just go over here. I will be right over, guys, just to make sure I'm not missing too much. Let me get back to this video first. And I will pause it. If you guys have any questions so far.
Ever wonder how some people remember every detail from every meeting? They use Otter AI, the #1 AI note taker that captures every word automatically.
Human
I'm gonna leave there for a second and see if there's any questions. Hey, Jeeps, what's up? Good to see you. Good to see you. Big Pine Sailing. Where are you sailing recently, sir? Where have you been? Or do you sail at this time of year? Just curious there. Okay, cool. So it says it's full screen now. Okay, and I guess you guys can hear me, so that's a good thing. Awesome. Yeah, man. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But if not, I'll get right back into it because trust me, guys, this is going to all fit together in a very cohesive, large scale kind of demonstration of what is the truth about these things, and are they intelligent or sentient? Maybe not as far as conscious. I don't know. Or when we use the term ether, can it be substituted with a plasma gradient, right? From the metaphysical, like the toroid forces and the medium that obviously you can record sound and see the waves, right? So obviously there's already a substrate there, right? and we're just accessing it. We're just sending our own vibrational waves through it, So, but when I see these little self-organized things up in the upper atmosphere, and then, you know, the toroidal forces we know can create these things and hold them together with the right magnetic forces, right? So once they're formed, and then they kind of what they use the term suck in other materials, which we're going to see, by the way. But once they start to split and like the cell, what they call plasma mitosis, when that happens, then they can continue. If the electrical forces aren't too strong on them, then they can continue to self-replicate, which is just amazing. Like, okay, anyway, it's just crazy to think about. Like, and nowadays in this time, the right technologies and the right, you know, energy consumption and expulsion, you know, I think plasma is going to be the answer to that, because what we're going to learn in just a second how strong we can amp plasma up to without bringing in extra energy. You can just exploit what's there. But I'm gonna get back to it. Here we go. Appreciate y'all being here. But it's going to get very interesting here in just a minute. So stick around. Stick around, stick around. Where is my, there we go. This is what I wanted to show y'all anyway. You see these waves,
Comprehension right
these little ripples here? We can only see that because there's already a medium there, right? This is just disturbing the medium. It's oscillating. So here we go.
here in orbit around us.
We're talking about the Earth-Moon system's L4 and L5 Lagrange points.
That's right. For the listener, these are the 5 specific places in space where the gravitational forces of 2 big bodies, like the Earth and Moon, perfectly balance out.
And they can trap objects, letting them stay in a stable position.
Correct. And in this case, those points have trapped massive concentrations of diffuse cosmic dust and charged particles. They're known as the Kordylewski clouds.
Are they a hypothetical concept, or have we confirmed them?
They are confirmed to be real, though they're incredibly wispy, faint, and hard to see, and they are enormous.
How big?
Each Kordylewski cloud is nearly 9 times wider than Earth. They're made of charged dust particles constantly buffeted by solar wind, yet held in this dynamic, organized equilibrium.
But I need to challenge this leap, because a cloud of charged dust is not a computer.
This is how we grew our podcast to over 10,000 listeners without spending hours editing each week. First, look up Riverside, then create a free account. We chose Riverside because it's an end-to-end platform for podcasting, meaning you can record your podcast with.
It's just a dust cloud. What's the mechanism that turns this into a sentient planetary network?
It comes down to scale and computational density. Researchers analyze the estimates of particle density within these clouds. The sheer number of charged dust particles in each cloud is estimated to be, well, enormous. Roughly 10 to the 26th particles.
Okay, let's put 10 to the 26th into perspective against our gold standard for complexity, the human brain.
The human brain has about 100 billion neurons. That's 10 to the 11th power. The Kordylewski cloud is theorized to contain 10 to the 26th particles.
The difference in computational nodes is 15 orders of magnitude. That's an immense scale difference.
The theory posits that if these charged dust particles communicate with each other via electromagnetic channels, which plasma naturally does, then these Kordylewski clouds function as a giant computer,
Or a sentient planetary network.
capable of storing and processing vast amounts of information related to the local solar system environment and maybe beyond.
So the biggest, most complex supercomputer we've ever conceived might just be a faint, diffuse cloud of plasma dust orbiting the moon.
Processing planetary and solar system data on a scale that just dwarfs the complexity of the human brain.
Once again, disclaimer, I do not believe everything that they're talking about. I do, on the other hand, love learning about what the title says, plasma toroid forces, and the fractal nature of things. So, when they use these terms like solar system and stuff like that, sure, it's up there, but it's not as they advertise and teach. We have to unlearn and realize things are a whole lot closer to home, to where we live on the ground. So um, it's a thing about scale, right? From our perspective, you know what I mean? It seems as if everything is so huge and light years away, but it's just not. It's not. It's so close, and we're going to prove that here in a minute.
That is absolutely stunning.
And it forces us to recognize that if consciousness and computation can arise not just from carbon chemistry, but from the collective electromagnetic behavior of a vast organized plasma field.
Now, our understanding of what defines intelligence is far too restrictive.
Which leads perfectly into our second interlude.
We've gone from lab sparks that breathe to energy hunters surfing the upper atmosphere to gigascale supercomputers orbiting our planet. The cosmic threads are coming together, and the connection is always electromagnetic energy.
It always is.
So the question now is, what does this tell us about our own consciousness?
If the physics of self-organization, communication, and complex structure are all tied to plasma dynamics, we really have to look at the striking analogies between plasma physics and neurobiology.
Let's draw some direct parallels between the structures we've discussed and the human nervous system.
Okay, think about the complex structures seen in plasmoids, the macrotubular electromagnetic rope chains, and the ganglia-like spherical cores.
They're strikingly similar to the fundamental neural circuitry of the brain. The axons, the dendrites, the nerve nets that transmit information.
Exactly. And the fundamental action potential of a neuron, the impulse that travels down an axon, letting us think and move, what is that?
It's an electrochemical wave, fundamentally an electromagnetic impulse.
Precisely. Plasma life forms are fundamentally electromagnetic entities, and our nervous system is essentially an electromagnetic organ. This suggests that plasma could function as a virtual electromagnetic nervous system,
allowing complex thought and sensation to occur without needing a physical, hardwired biological structure like gray matter.
which leads to the ultimate implication: consciousness without a brain.
If consciousness is linked by electromagnetic fields, then maybe the physical brain isn't the origin of consciousness.
But merely a sophisticated receiver or a transmitter.
That is the radical but consistent theory presented by the sources. The idea is that the quantum continuum itself, the universal field of reality, is conscious.
And plasma, as the highest energy state of matter, provides the accessible substrate for that universal consciousness to manifest.
And the structures in plasma, the highly organized, massive macrotubular ropes and cables we've discussed, what are they doing?
They may be manifestations of or deriving their energy directly from this quantum continuum. This means complex plasma life forms may be capable of a form of instantaneous, highly efficient quantum computation.
And they are direct, entangled fragments of the collective universal consciousness.
That's the idea.
What stands out to me is that if this holds, our awareness is not localized to the gray matter inside our skulls. The human brain, with its microtubule structures, might just be acting as a quantum receiver and transmitter.
Okay, cool. We are going to, sorry, we're going to back down out of this one. And I just want to show you guys, let me go just to this picture here. I want you guys to keep this image in mind while I go to the other video. Go out of there. Sorry, excuse me.
Tuning into
Oh, my mouse is sticking tonight. Let me see if I can get it.
You don't need superpowers to keep your family safe from scams. All you need
on slow chemical diffusion.
Okay. If you guys just seen that, where those two just flew by, the super fast. I know some of you may have seen the stuff I'm going to show you.
Better than water.
Complex plasma can exist in this intermediate phase. It can naturally switch between a liquid and a highly ordered crystalline state. And this is immensely important.
Right.
Because it means the particles that make up the plasma body can maintain a specific highly ordered orientation when an electric field is applied.
An oriented structure grants what to the life form?
It grants conscious electromagnetic control over its own biological processes.
What do you mean?
A water-based cell has to rely on slow chemical diffusion or enzyme cascades. A dark plasma life form can control movement, density, and energy transfer simply by applying a specific internal voltage, which reorients its liquid crystal structure.
The control is instant, direct, and incredibly precise.
This superior substrate must allow for highly specialized organs, following a kind of Darwinian evolution in the dark sector.
Let's detail the structures of these theoretical plasma analogs.
Let's not. Tell you what, I am gonna go right here just to make sure everything's good.
Human
Yeah, dude, like,
comprehension right here in orbit around us.
We're talking about the Earth's moons.
Geez, well, I'll tell you, I'm messing up everywhere tonight. So, yeah. So when we look up in the, let me take this off. When we look up in the night sky, you know, it seems as if that, what was I about to say? Polarization in a, sorry, I'm reading right quick, guys. So is the script generated? We find that a lot of authors don't want to learn about this. I think it's suspect. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say suspect. I would just say, Jeeps, that um, I think there are still people in this movement that have already, you know, started building a base of people that repeat instead of, you know, putting all the pieces together and really, you know, because you can't be. I've learned, you know, no one's really here to support me as far as like with my beliefs, right? I have to push for my own, um, for myself, that to show myself that, you know, these pieces do make sense, and then go get the actual physical work, right, that's been done. Um, you know, even though I don't believe in half of what, you know, science puts out there as far as quote unquote science, right? Or the scientists, but there are some really good people that have bucked the system, right? Even if it meant their job, their career, their status in society. And I really respect people like that. So I think it's only suspect of certain people that if you try to show them this kind of work, they will be like, yeah, just send it to me and you know, I'll look into it. But you never hear from them again. Like, that's suspect, you know. But didn't mean to ramble on to answer your question, but yeah, and you know, I've learned to not focus on that kind of stuff anymore. Um, you know, just because it makes you, yeah, bitter or angry, and you know, I'm just not like that in my soul. You know, I think it's less innocent than that. I don't know. But never talk about it. It's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah, and I've sent a lot of stuff to people too, and yeah, the movement is too much about personalities. Right, and it's not based in. And I almost see a big pun. I almost see that certain people are morphing into, from, you know, proof and truth and stuff like that, into like a more entertainment kind of channel. You know, instead of helping people to learn. You know, um, and I hate to see that. You know, I really do. Or I've been, like, personally, I've been sent emails, you know, people I don't even know, and they're like, "Hey, man, watch out for such and such. Make sure, because you know he's this or he's that." Like, and I hear them and I take caution, but I guess I don't linger in it too much, you know. But yeah, repetition in things that really aren't that valid, or things that don't amount to stuff that's going to help our next generation grow, you know. And so a lot of these things that I'm learning, I'm putting into practice with you know, these types of technologies that are based off of, you know, plasma and toroidal and implosion. Like, one of my favorite guys was Victor Schauberger, and you know, I thought about a cooling machine for like computers or stuff like that, but with his water implosion. It's just a funnel basically, you know. And I thought about trying to patent something like that, that or just cooling systems for like people in places that don't have air conditioner for the summer, stuff like that, you know. Yeah, just on why it wouldn't be shared yet, right? You know, I've got an X account that I really went in for like it was about a year. Yeah, about a year, and I was like 1,500 posts that were all about, you know, things that would help people to get out of this mindset and system. And so, yeah, I hope it helps somebody, you know. So, yeah, thank you, Jeeps. I appreciate that. I just want to see if I've missed any comments, and then I'm gonna take you guys into a special documentary, or not so much a documentary, but studies. You know, all right, I didn't really see anybody else here. Yeah, thank you, Jeeps. I appreciate the compliment. That's very nice of you. Neuron brain, same event. Legends warn about when God raising its frequency. It's a good point. Very good point, Jeeps. Awesome. All right. Thank you, Jeeps, again. And you're a good soul for saying I'm a good soul. How about that? Yeah. Imaginary high five. All right. So let's get back to it. Let's see, full screen there. And add to stage. Here we go. Oh, no, don't remove. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna play this, and then I'm gonna just jump back real quick over here. If you, ladies and gentlemen, could give me like a thumbs up or a one if you do hear it and see the picture, and then that way I know I'm not messing up again. Let's see, where was I going with this one? Oh yeah, right here. Okay, so this is Bob Grenier.
I came into the research that I've been doing for the last 13 plus.
Sorry, let me fast forward to where we were gonna, or where I'm gonna show. Okay, so here we go. Okay, this is a good part. Right about, okay. Okay. Let's see.
Boson, there's two types of kind of matter. A fermion can't pretty much everything now. On some, I really like the work.
Okay, I'm going to come back over. If you guys can hear it and see the picture, could you kindly let me know? Would appreciate that. Let's see. Let me come back over here. Did you guys or ladies ladies and gentlemen hear about this? Let me play it one more time. That way, if you do hear it, that'd be great.
And I think what's happening is it's being influenced by these energy solitons. I think it's the same thing, because the kind of frequencies of light that you need to stimulate it and the processes that, like passing water through Nafion tubes, you end up with this charge separation going on. And I think it's doing a similar kind of, we've witnessed.
All right, I'm gonna come back real quick. Yeah, okay, cool. It says, okay, yeah, I can hear it, see? Same guy from the other night. Yes, this is from the other night, but I'm gonna just play a certain section of it because it really ties into when the concept of when people say something out of nothing, right? There's that saying that things came from nothing, right? From a big bang, quote unquote. And I don't believe that, but I do believe on a small scale that, and this is just from me learning and seeing and different people's papers and studies, that when you have opposite polarities facing each other, right, and they're spinning, okay, which is basically a torus. Well, the forces get so strong on that scale, at a very, very small scale, that they're pulling in other, it's not creating something from nothing. What it's doing is it's attracting through magnetic forces two, just imagine two tornadoes one's upside down and one's, right side up, and they meet right in the middle. There's a point right there. That's the 0 point. That's important to remember when listening to this guy. So I'm going to play a little bit more, and yeah, and then I'm going to go and play a different. I'm going to show you guys some white paper stuff and peer-reviewed studies. Here we go. I can click on this right. There we go.
There's several people that we've evaluated making this mistake. In fact, it was a criticism of Rossi early on. Essentially, dry steam you cannot see. It's just transparent, completely transparent. If you can see steam, then it's definitely not dry steam. It's wet steam.
All right, and just one more question is, are you familiar with Gerald Pollack and his view of easy water, I think a fourth phase of water, or does that have anything to do with your work?
Yeah, I am, and I actually met him. I actually commandeered him when he was in an IR bath at Tesla Tech, which I presented at. You can go and see the video of me having a debate with him whilst he can't get anywhere. I really like the work, and I think what's happening is it's being influenced by these energy solitons. I think it's the same thing, because the kind of frequencies of light that you need to stimulate it, and the processes that, like passing water through Nafion tubes, you end up with this charge separation going on. And I think it's doing a similar kind of phenomena in his system, which gets these flows. And I think it's very key to how, and he argues this, blood is able to flow through capillaries and these kind of things.
All right, so now I'm ready for your slides, finally.
Okay, so first off, how to engage with the project and myself. The project, again, is called Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project, and we have a YouTube, and the handle for that is @MFMP. And on X, the handle is @QuantumHeat. It was called, the actual organization that runs it is a community interest company in the UK, and it's called QuantumHeat.c.I.C. For myself, I publish pretty much everything now on Substack, and the Substack name is remoteview.icu. That is the URL, Uniform Resource Locator, where that is held. So I'm going to start with my conclusion. This was actually a conclusion for a presentation I gave in Strasbourg to the community last year. And essentially, multi-axis hydrodynamic shear in polar or charge-separated material, so polar being water, charge-separated material could be a plasma, for instance, such as water or plasma, will lead to fractal electrodynamic structures which possess fractal toroidal moments, which many of you may not have heard about, but don't worry, we'll understand those in a little while. A disruption zone and areas of changed permittivity, that is permittivity of the vacuum. It produces a phase singularity, and it creates the Aharonov bomb effect in that region at the center of the fractal toroidal structure. And this leads to coherent matter, even of electrons, in the magnetic core and self-similar substructures. When fractions of the coherent matter at the core exceed their Schwarzschild radius, a black hole sort of thing, analog, is formed. And this leads to electronuclear collapse. That can occur. And when the fractal electrodynamic structures fail, matter is reborn into a range of common elements. This is not fusion. I repeat, it's not fusion. It's not fission. It's literally creating a new start to the universe. It's completely denaturing matter and reconstructing it. That is at the extremis. It does everything in between up to that. Okay, so this is work from Dr. Takaaki Matsumoto. He never published this in his book, which I have here, and I'm reconstructing this. It's in a Kickstarter. It's called Steps to the Discovery of Electronuclear Collapse. And I had the pleasure of realizing a number of years ago that he wasn't dead, as I was told he was, but he was actually alive. And to cut a long story short, I was able to hand him demonstrations of independent replications of his observations just a month before he died. And the relationship we built there allowed for their family to hand over around about 200 kilograms of this consummate nuclear scientists work. And what you see on the screen is things that were never shared in the book, but he said to me through my Japanese translator, there are things that Bob is going to find in these materials that are going to interest him very much. Well, these are disc-like structures with substructures orthogonally arranged. And this is what we find. And it's very clear that he observed these too. Now, the overall structures can produce like helical beams like this. And this is work that's done in Russia. It was done in the Cold War by a guy called Anatoly Klimov and colleagues. This is the guy that created the aerospike to allow for hypersonic missiles. He's also created technologies that are now being replicated in the West and are some of the leading technologies that are verified to produce energy. One is being produced by a company called Engate.
All right, guys. I meant to show you something first about the upper atmosphere and in the ionosphere. I want to show you this first. Okay, here we go. Keep a close eye out because it's pretty amazing. And remember, these are low light cameras. You can't see this.
At Wells Fargo, we get it. You started your business to spend time on the things you love, not banking. That's why we offer business checking, payments, and lending all in one place. You're good at business, we're good at business banking. Wells Fargo.
There we go. Now this is sped up, so a lot of these don't go that fast at normal speed. All right, here we go. Oh shit. Now I'm going to play the rest and let it play through, but ask yourself this question: what exactly could travel that fast? I mean, again, this is sped up, but yeah, I'll slow the next one down. But imagine it. Are these plasmas? A plasma type of like bioluminescent creatures in the ocean, or are these what they call satellites, right? Like all the I don't think they're satellites, but I don't think they're all plasmoid either. Plasmas. I don't. I think from what I've seen technology wise, that there are some things out there when you get up in that low viscosity area and high energy and colder temperatures where it reduces weight. I think you could do some pretty crazy things with the technology that they've got. I truly think that. But we'll finish this. Here we go. Mouse.
This robotic puppy is so lifelike, it actually fooled my neighbor who's a
That
veterinarian.
ain't no
I've been a
puppy. What?
grandmother for 15.
That's a puppy. Huh. It's a big dog. Dude, they got some stuff, man. It looks really
years,
shit
and
now.
this is the smartest purchase I've
Okay, let me
ever
back out
made.
of this.
Last
All right, now stop playing with me, mouse. There we go. Okay, click. Now, got one more. This is going to be slowed down at regular speed. If I could find it. Okay. I guess I have to go back this way and find it. Okay, go here, go back there, and okay, go to posts. Okay, I'm almost there, guys. Sorry about this. It's is it even that one? We'll see. There it is. Okay, I'll just go to his channel because I want y'all to, I want you guys to see that, what's in what you're going to see in on the small scale here in a second under the microscope is almost identical to what we see on a macro scale. What I just do? Huh. Sorry guys, I'm T-rotted. Let me get this thing up. Where was it at? Easily unedited 140-minute video. Yeah, this is it. We have to skip another.
Knock, knock, ding dong. Donuts, stop watching. It's snack time. And
I don't think this is the one. It must be at a different location on this one. Let's go down though. Let's see what else is down. Where is well, you know what? When I really need something, it is not there. It's wild. Okay. Forgive me, guys. Forgive me. Forgive me. Tell you what, I'll just look for it here in a minute. We'll just jump right back into this. Okay. You guys get the point. Like, there's a ridiculous amount of objects above our head that we don't get to see with our eyes, It kind of sucks. Okay, where was that? Never ending bloom. There it is. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's get back to it. I know. I'm a nerd, guys, and I take forever. I blame it on my my ADD, ADHD, whatever you call that. All right, here we go.
And this is vortex plasmatron type systems. This is the preface to the book by Dr. Takaaki Matsumoto. And I'll read it now. Far in the universe, nuclear collapses very often take place by the gravitational force after stars consume their fuel. Since the electromagnetic force is about 40 orders stronger than the gravitational force, it should be easy to induce similar nuclear collapses.
40 orders stronger, people. Gravitational force has zero effect unless they've been hiding the gravitational force as the weak nuclear force, like I would get that then. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, 40 orders stronger has no bearing. Force has no bearing, zero, I think, bearing on, even at the small scale like this. Like, yeah, okay, gravity can hold oceans, stick it to the bottom of a fall, right? Anyway, I don't want to repeat stuff.
By electromagnetic force in laboratory, but we never knew until now how to do that. Recently, the author discovered a nuclear collapse which was induced by the electromagnetic force in laboratory during studying the mechanisms of so-called cold fusion phenomena. Several kinds of nuclear reactions which were induced by the electromagnetic force, called electronuclear reactions, were found so far to occur in a special state of hydrogen clusters. He calls them itonic clusters, but he recognizes these are what are micro ball lightning. The nuclear collapse was one of the most remarkable reactions among ENRs, called electronuclear collapse. Furthermore, very amazingly, completely broken materials by electronuclear collapse were found to be regenerated again to thin tubes and films of conventional elements such as carbon, oxygen, and iron. The latter process was called electronuclear regeneration. And this is the diagram on page 91 in the book. You can see that he has some toroidal structure that ends up by or emerges from a point. And he calls
that point there, guys, I know I'm pausing a lot, but that point of electronuclear collapse, see there's a little squiggly arrow line going to right there. Well, right there in the middle of the spin of those toroids, on the opposite side of where, like this is 2D. So imagine there's a bottom, right, where that black line comes out of. You're going to have the spin of a northern polarity either coming up or a southern polarity coming up, and then vice versa on the top here going inward. And they meet at that point right there. That's the 0 point. There's nothing there except immense amount of energy. And he's going to explain that now. But keep in mind, you have to have the toroidal spin and opposite polarities to even, before nature, I guess, considers forming anything that is tangible. And like you just said, these things can be ripped apart completely, right? And you would think that would be the end of them, but then they could regenerate. And that's because of the magnetic forces bringing them back together, right? And but yeah, here we go. All right.
What's that point? The point of electronuclear collapse. The matter comes out of a wormhole and then comes out as a vortex. And what you can see here is it's a carbon tube that comes out, but on the inside of it, you get heavy elements, titanium, iron, etc., being produced. And on the outside, you get generation of, he says hydrogen because it's the thing that should be produced, carbon and oxygen. Now, what is that? If you have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen being produced out of a system that starts with any element whatsoever, what are you doing?
You are transmuting into existence. You're just transmuting, right? That's where it starts. So, but yeah, here we go. Let's continue.
You're producing hydrogen and carbon. These processes occur, as Piantelli said, in the earth. This is abiogenic synthesis of hydrocarbons.
Of hydrocarbons, guys. Right? Abiogenesis. Hey, listen, I was surprised when I heard that, because there's there's that process, right, that we think of for ourselves, for carbon-based beings, right? But what about these plasmas? They also have almost identical ways of coming into existence, which is just amazing. All right, here we go.
You have the pressures, you have the electrostatic forces, and you have the material food in order to feed this. This implies and explains why why you get helium at the top of the thing, although people will say that's from the decay of uranium and so forth. It also explains why you get oil and gas at depths where no dead thing ever went, right? And why the Russians have been arguing for decades that, you know, there's a biogenic process that produces oil and gas. This means it's not fossil fuel. Now, it might take millions of years to produce a decent amount in a particular location. So you can use it up relatively for a period of time, but it will self-regenerate. Now, I'm going to...
Okay, this is the most important part. If you're still there, I can't see the comments, but this is the moment that the magic happens. Let's just put it that way. All right, pay close attention here. And there's a citation at the bottom, a source, if you want to look further into it. But here we go.
I'm going to go. I'm doing this presentation backwards to make sure everyone has the key aspects. This paper was funded by almost everyone. Like it was funded by the European Union, the Department of Energy. It was funded by China. It was funded by Japan. It was funded by South Korea. And it's called Dynamics of Moving Electron Vortices and Magnetic Ring in Laser Plasma. It's actually a replication in 2021 of work that was done in 1976 in Japan, where they fired a laser into a nonlinear plasma and produced a disruption in there, which had a electric field strength of ridiculous proportions, but also magnetic areas of over 1,000 Tesla. Well, in this work, this is everything red here is 1.36 thousand Tesla.
Let's sink in. How much potential energy is that? That would be enough to like run a city for a year or something. All right, here we go.
For a single laser pulse into a nonlinear plasma. And what you see in this part of the diagram over on the left is a charge separation of 3.6 trillion volts per meter. This will rip the electrons off pretty much anything, leaving bare nuclei, and it spins round and comes into this. And this magnetic field comes to a dead stop here. This is what I call is the phase singularity. It's the topological monopole. Okay. And so when you have an intense magnetic field focused to a point, this allows a vortex to come in, and that allows for the cohering of matter, as you'll see. Moscow Nuclear Physics Institute, Bogdanovich et al., in water plasma flow discharges produce long-lived plasmoids. These are plasma toroids. It's an abbreviation of the word plasmoids. And he basically argues that it's producing these monopole-like structures, and he cites this paper by R.P. Vishnevsky from 2008.
Okay, so the left picture, I'll make this quick. The left picture where you see the arrows coming down, pointing at that little bitty circle there, this is the monopole he was talking about. And what I'm talking about is the forces coming down from the top, you know, facing that arrow, facing straight down at that in the middle of the little bitty circle. On the top here, it's either spinning and creating a northern polarity shooting down at this little bitty circle, or vice versa, it's shooting upward, right? But it has to have both. Okay, and when it has both, the forces that come together right there in that little bitty circle area will stop. But not only stop, it'll stop because the information or the materials, it's like he said a wormhole, but I just think it's such immense power right there. And then the next step, of course, would be the toroidal, the spinning effect. But that's the 0 point, okay? That everything has that, the seed in the very, very center of a seed, right? There is a 0 point. On a tree, right, where the roots meet the ground and the other part of the trunk goes upward, that's at the very center of that, that started with the 0 point of the seed, right? Now, I'll show you in a minute. I'm sure most of you know about, you know, plants, the plant kingdom, and you know, even the human body, like the top of your head where that little swirl is in your hair, everybody has that little spot. Well, sunflowers, you know, everything grows with a toroidal spin and a center point, right? He calls it a wormhole. I don't know, but let's continue. Okay.
It's called superconductivity of Dirac monopole. This paper actually says all superconductivity is based on the formation of a monopole, and that leads to the coherence of electrons. So basically, electrons spinning around a magnetic moment cause a magnetic field, and then the magnetic field causes electrons to spin around. So it kind of starts to self-organize, and then it has a magnetic focus, and then electrons, which both repel each other, but they're attracted to the magnetic field, orbit around this magnetic azimuth, and it forces them into up and down phase coherence, forming Cooper pairs, which come down to, and because Cooper pairs are now a boson, there's two types of kind of matter. A fermion can't occupy the same space-time, whereas a boson can. That's what you need to know. You can go and look it up with your favorite AI of choice. And two electrons in a Cooper pair state are a boson, and so they don't suffer this restriction from being able to occupy the same space-time. So they come down to a point where they orbit at a minimum distance, which is it can't get any smaller than that, but it produces this superconducting ring of a Bose-Einstein condensate of electrons. And that keeps on happening with more and more electrons coming in. And so the magnetic core gets stronger and stronger and stronger. When you have an intense magnetic core, you will pull in things that are paramagnetic or have a magnetic moment. A neutron has a magnetic moment. A proton has a magnetic moment.
And I'm going to show you in just a second that if it's strong enough, or if it's spinning at the right ratio, right? If it's that magnetic moment, he calls it, the center point, it will also hold things that are non-magnetic, like, you know, steel or whatever kind of metals are not magnetic. They will still affect it, because it's a toroid force, like a very, very miniature tornado. You can't see the forces, but you can see the effects of, like I say, if they're placed in the right geometry, it don't have to be magnetic. It'll still affect it. All right, let's get back to it. And I'll show you. I'm not just bullshitting. I'll show you. All right.
An atomic hydrogen, that is proton with an electron, has a magnetic moment. H2 does not have a magnetic moment, right? Oxygen, whether it's ozone, O2, or O minus radical, they all have a paramagnetic moment. So they will get pulled from water into here. And when they align the nuclear magnetic moment, for instance, of hydrogen, and the highest nuclear magnetic moment is tritium. Well, tritium's quite rare. It's not actually a natural isotope, although LENR does produce it. It's one of the few radioactive isotopes that you can produce in LENR. Okay, in fact, it's pretty much the only thing until you take it to the extreme. But proton is basically almost exactly the same moment. And when you align magnetic moments, you end up by creating a gravitational azimuth focus for the flux of gravitational waves that go through, according to the work of John Archibald Wheeler, where the matter is held together by a beam that is a gravitational azimuth. And in this book here, by this is from 1990 of Takaaki Matsumoto, that produced this book. He observed gravitational collapse of hydrogen, first neutronization of the hydrogen into quad neutrons, and then gravitational collapse of that. And he observed the signatures on the nuclear emulsions, which you see in this book. Okay. So the next key paper is a pattern. Sorry, is a paper by Afanasev and Dubovik. And Dubovik in 1965 was writing his thesis in Dubna, the nuclear city in the Soviet Union. And he realized a different type of electrodynamics that wasn't recognized in the West and verified until 1997. So the Russians had a full 30-year head start on understanding this new type of electrodynamics, which gives you all of the magic. And this paper is called Some Remarkable Charge Current Structures, and they say that in a torus, electrodynamic torus, in the center, you get what's called the Aharonov bomb effect. And that the Aharonov bomb effect is what's able to phase and energy synchronize these electrons as they come into the magnetic core. This Aharonov bomb effect is used in the systems and methods for generating coherent matter wave beams, which is patent number US 9502.202B2 from Lockheed Martin Corporation, filed in December 28th, 2011. And they say that using pulsed electric discharges going through 10 micron channels in a intense magnetic field, it phase coheres electrons.
Okay, 1 second, guys. I mean, you see where we're at. We can always. I have this on my post.
And they say that the only
I think that's right.
is the same for each of the atoms, so that then they can resonate and the tool that does it is a fractal magnetohydrodynamic structure, and this is the structure that we derived. Now, you can get this from water, and it's a similar nested vortex.
So, okay, he's going to go into it, but this is what I was showing you earlier with the other example. This being the let's just say this is a seed, right? And the torus, you can't see it, of course, but as it grows, right, then it's going to branch off and make smaller ones, and then fractally down like that. You see the little red things here? Those are other rings. So basically, it's like a wheel within a wheel, right? And within a wheel, within another wheel, and blah, blah, blah. But there's right here, that's important to know. The sub levels can only get up to 48, okay? And then it's too small. So yeah, so here we go. Let's finish this out.
Whirlwind or tornado, depending on which part of the pond you're on. It has to have a minimum 2 subtors at sublevels, and it can have a maximum of 48 at the sublevels. It is replete with the golden ratio. Every key aspect of this on each orthogonal level is the golden ratio.
Yes, and this is where the importance of geometry comes in. Okay, geometry rules everything as far as in these processes of life unfolding. Right? It's a very, very, very detailed program. Whoever coded this reality, right? Our creator. I'm not saying we're in a computer, but anyway, the creator had very specific instructions for how things split, right? And how they split, but then they work together as a whole, you know? So this is very important to realize. You can absolutely measure these and overlay, which he's going to do, overlay graphics of the geometry and show you that phi ratios are the ruler of nature, period. So here we go. Let's get back at it. I won't pause it anymore. I know I'll pause it a lot. Here we go.
And so from the top of the apple here to the central core here, and from this down to the disruption zone here is the golden ratio, and that's on each fractal structure. Here is a manifestation of it in German cavitation sound in water. And you have a phase singularity here and a phase singularity here. Matter is pulled in from the environment, and from the environment to a point here and to a point here, and then it gets closed into a loop. Okay? You overlay this over the James Webb Telescope's latest images of the spiral galaxy, and it is exact match, even with these bits coming off. So what you can create in an ultrasound is producing the same thing. This is what John Archibald Wheeler said. This is what Winston Bostic said. These things scale everything from the microcosm to the macrocosm, as above, so below. And so it produces hollow spheres, and it very, very specifically, the apple of the substructure, the boundary of the apple, only interacts into the center here. And so you end up at an area where the apples do not interact, but there is this toroidal moment that comes into the center, and it collapses matter. So here is an example in a plasma reactor of Henk urine, which I analyzed. And on this zinc copper substrate here, you can see a collapsed ball lightning structure. Now on the right here, you can see this physics review letters image. You can go and see this on Wikipedia. And this is the only spectrum caught of natural ball lightning. And other than nitrogen and oxygen, which you expect to see in the air, you also see calcium, silicon, and iron. Calcium, silicon, and iron. These are some of the most common elements to be synthesized in coherent energy transformations. Here, you can see the broken up structure. You have an iron-rich crenellated sphere in the center, which is basically iron and oxygen, two paramagnetic materials, or ferromagnetic in this case. Silicon and oxygen here, and then calcium and oxygen on the outside. And it's got a spiral thing that comes in, and it's blown up and gone sideways with a kink in it, okay? Here is another one from the same kind of experiment, and I've overlaid the 2D geometry. The vortex is here. This is the caduceus in mythology. This is the top cup of the caduceus where the two snake head meets. It goes up to this part of the structure. This radius here is exactly the same structure as the iron-rich crenellated sphere that came out over here. On the golden ratio line, there's been an ejection of an N-1 core with a silicon dioxide spewing from behind it. Here, from the part where the vortex, the tornado, comes into the core, there's a hole at one end, and it's spewing the material out here. It was actually over here, and the thing flipped over. You can see the same thing on Matsumoto's book here. This is from a lead wire experiment, very small, 40 millisecond or 80 millisecond pulses. And here, this is lead, pure lead, and out of it, it's got a plume of carbon. And the carbon here is larger in volume than the inside volume of the lead from which it's coming. Now, lead is 204, 206, 7 and 8 nucleons. Carbon's mostly carbon-12. So what's happening is, for this picture to be real, the matter has to be coherent inside here. It has to be. There's no other choice. A child can work this out, right? And we've replicated this process. So the core takes bare nucleons and completely collapsed matter in there. And that is the same of the subcores, which are in here. When these things are traveling across metal, they produce a typical tornado kind of track where you have a scored area and you have these crossways sections which are at an angle. And this is because you have the main sort of hurricane, and then these are the tornadoes on the outside, and the overall thing is structure is spinning. This is on a copper plate. This is in one of our experiments. Neil Crichton Gold sadly departed. This is cutting through fused quartz. And this is in Parkhomov, who I mentioned earlier. This is actually cutting through boron nitride. This is the second hardest material known to man.
Yeah, boron, these things, what through boron. I mean, think about this. Think about it in this manner as well. As above, so below. So what do we see periodically in the sky at night? You know, these what they say rockets, like these people at SpaceX or whatever, they say all the time, oh, it's just a rocket, it's just a launch going across the sky, no big deal. I doubt that. I think that these are plasma, because the trail they leave behind them, it looks like, you know, they're skiing across water or something, but it's excited ions. It's like a glowing blue, like this brilliant blue, like, and you don't just get that out of nowhere. I think it resembles this right here. And that's just me. That's just me. You guys might not see it, but you know, I just wanted to add that in because we do see this in the sky. So it's just a comparison on the small scale to the large scale. There's going to be a lot of that in here. So Yeah, let's get right back to it. All right.
And after diamond. Okay, it does not care about the material. It cannot stand it. So what's happening is if you can imagine, as it's going into the core, it's creating what we call a vacuum gradient. There's basically a black hole analog, and the photonic pressure of the 0 point is it produces a gradient, and also you get this chi flux, which the chi being the relic neutrinos. They are pulling through the material and they're destabilizing it. Everything from water becoming water gas, all the way through quark gluon magnetic disk confinement. That is to say, a baryon falls apart into its subatomic particles. And this is like taking one of these deep sea fish and lifting it up onto your boat. And it can live its whole life. It can have babies and whatever down in the deep sea ocean. But when you lift it up onto your boat, it turns to mush because it's used to having all of this pressure from all the other environments. Now, when you create this ball lightning-like structure, it is a completely different space-time inside. And that is true of a proton. A proton has a different space-time inside to the outside of the proton. Okay, it has a different space-time metric. Like if you ask someone what's it like inside a proton, well, it's not the same as outside the proton. Okay, and so this is what's going on, and you can see it here in actual hydrodynamics. And these are solitons produced by ultrasound in water. And I saw this in 2017 in India, in Mumbai. And you can see the solitons moving around. Anyway, this is one I recorded from these images. And you can see that it has this cloverleaf shape. And where you're seeing white is where there is a depressurization. That is to say, the bubbles are produced where it's a lower pressure, and then the light gets reflected off the surfaces or internal and external of the bubble, producing this white. So there's a depressurization down here. There's a depressurization here and here on the golden ratio lines, and all the way in this clover. And this is magical because, like, where is the pressure going? Well, it's coming into and out of the camera, just as I showed you. Like from this point, maybe coming towards the camera and going out of the camera there. And it's this same structure that drives everything from the subatomic all the way through to galaxies. And so here you can see in one of our...
And keep in mind, guys, these are 2D overlays, right? These stencil looking things, right? For the measurement metric. But if you can picture it in 3D, that would be more, you know, how do you say it? A more accurate representation in 3D. And the other thing I was going to say, in this bottom right picture here, you see how it's really wavy, right? He's going to explain what's going on here, but it's going to tie in the next like 10 minutes, I think. It'll really tie in and hit you why it looks like that, right? All right, here we go.
Experiments. This is a maser gas, which is a form of oxyhydrogen gas on tungsten. This was about a 10-second experiment. It caused the transmutation of the matter into all of the elements typically in your body in 10 seconds. And this sphere here is the point of disruption down here. This is on the human anatomy. We are made in the image of the technology that runs the universe. In fact, the human itself is the answer to the program that runs the universe with our local space-time metrics and our local environmental conditions. We are the answer to the program. This is to say that the program will have the same answer every time the conditions are similar to Earth at every point in the galaxy. That is to say, you will get humanoid-like forms that are varied only by the local metrics, okay? You do not need to have panspermia. You do not need to go to somewhere else. The information is already everywhere, all at the same time in the relic neutrino condensate. And so, and it's through the toroidal moment that the information is exchanged. Anyway, this is a brass plate, which we put on an iron plate here, and it produced the magnetohydrodynamic structure. It punched things through a wormhole here and punched it through here and laid the brass down exactly in the magnetohydrodynamic structure. And this area here, which is, and you can talk about it later, you said you wanted to talk about it, this is the same form as the subterranean area in the Great Pyramid of Giza. And when we look at that under the optical imagery, we see it's much larger here. And then when we look at this under the SEM, we see these hexagonal vortex cone arrays. Only in this area here, which is at the point of disruption, which is the same point as this over here. And the point of disruption on the human anatomy is this dimple between the lip and the chin. And if you open your mouth, that is the point of consumption. Okay, so food in here, okay, air in here. We are literally exactly built on the technology that runs the universe, in the image of the technology that runs the universe. Okay, so here, closer up, I'm comparing this to the 1860s model of the ether by
Right. Maxwell. This was his representation of the ether, like you just said, right? On a very, very, very small scale. This right here, although not perfect, is imprint of the background medium, which it blew my mind. I'm like, what? You can actually, mimic this, and then also, I'm going to show you later pictures. Is this guy caught of, the sound? He made a very unique camera, and you can see the coherent and decoherent waves, right? And that overlap each other and bump into each other, but they also create
James Clerk Maxwell.
Create this kind of pattern too. This is just under a microscope. So anyway, I wanted to show you that. I thought that was pretty impressive, that how closely it matched up, right? Okay, let's get back to it.
Okay, and it is basically an ether vortex, a tornado of this material that is causing this copper to disassemble. Okay, so you have a small box, which is actually a sphere, into which the matter goes in as a vortex, and it becomes an electron cloud nucleus nucleon macrocluster. And this is a phrase that's in S.V. Adamenko's 750-page book, published in 2006, called Controlled Nuclear Synthesis. S.V. Adamenko was a guy who in the 1950s learned the Soviet method of nuclear synthesis, and by 2000 he managed to get access to a section of the old isotopic Soviet isotopic factory outside of Kiev, and he got
I look right here just to see how much time is left. I wanted to show you guys one more important thing, and it's really just right through here. All the measurements. Okay, and that. Oh yeah, that. We're gonna come back to this in a second, but I want to show you all this right quick. It's really awesome. Check that out. Look at this, man. That is so crazy. This is, right, just a strand, I guess you could say a strand of a plasma toroid. But it's in motion, right? It's not just
and using a coherent matter wave.
Yeah, I should read this right. So multiple merged, I'm sorry, what is that? Multiple video frames from a coherent matter wave being formed in low pressure gas discharge with electron bunching aided by gaps between metal plates. And that's I guess it's not as close, but this is where it ripped through the material. It's just so crazy to look at. But I thought this was really cool. I want to clip it, like, and crop it or whatever, and make that like my screensaver or something. But yeah, all right, we'll watch it up until that point, which is just a few more minutes, and then get back to it. All right, here we go.
From the people from Privatbank, Kolomoisky et al., and they funded him, and he did 20,000 sequential experiments in a row with a 300 joule discharge into a pin of those metals, and every single one of those 20,000 experiments produced every element in the periodic table. sequentially. 100% proven. And in 2014, 4 million or something was put in, came from somewhere magic. The entire lab, which is about the size of a small house, was moved to Chicago, Illinois. And I think George Miley was in charge of verifying that. It was verified, and then it went dark and went part of the US fusion program. Okay, so this is from the patent of S.V. Adamenko. And remember, he had in this case, he had a pure copper plate and a pure copper pin, which was the target. And what you see over here on the right is a iron sphere with a hollow sphere in the center. An iron sphere. Now, this is not a resonance system, so it doesn't produce a perfect structure. This is a pulse discharge system. Iron hemisphere comprising of 93% by weight iron with admixtures of silicon and copper isotopes on the background of the copper shield. So remember, he had 99, well, in this case, he had 99.999% pure copper target on a 99.999% pure copper accretion disk. And in that copper accretion disk, he sees an iron sphere, which is 93% by weight iron. I said iron gets produced by this. So did this guy. And we also see silicon. What happens is silicon is the fusion of carbon and oxygen, which gets fused. So you take 12, you get 16, you fuse them together, you get 28. And you get the isotopes, you still get isotopes of silicon. You fuse two silicons together, and what do you get? You get iron. This is fusion. Okay. Wow. So in 2005, in a Ukrainian newspaper, S.V. Adamenko stated that he thought the reaction occurred in a hollow area by way of dark matter. What dark matter is? Dark matter is something you can't detect by electromagnetic waves. What dark matter am I saying it is? I'm saying it's relic neutrinos, because relic neutrinos can't be detected by electromagnetic waves. So his work, which is proven by the US nuclear fusion institutions, he says is caused by dark matter. And that is where he's at. So we produce these in electric discharge system. This is by a guy called Me356. He likes to call himself is Thomas Jezierdinek. He's a Czech guy. And this is in a plasma reactor I have just over on my left here. This is used starting with carbon and producing iron-rich crenellated spheres. In this case, again, because it's so dynamic and hot in the plasma, it doesn't produce the same beautiful spheres that we get from this. Now, when people say, oh, you're talking a lot, just show me the experiment. This is an experiment, and you can go and look it up on this link here, youtube.com down here, BY1, whatever, you can go and look at it. It's called Ultra. And this is all the equipment you need. You need the skill set of being able to press a button, pour water, and fold aluminum kitchen foil. We found that 3-year-olds can do this. Maybe it would be better to appreciate it from 5 and up, okay? But this produces exactly and precisely the same structures every time, and it's been replicated by individuals and national labs. But what it produces is a perfect yin-yang on every standing wave node. Okay, you see these things replete, and it's caused by a toroidal bubble and a toroidal antibubble. Okay, and this is precisely the yin-yang ratios. It's not slightly, it's exactly and precisely the yin-yang ratios. And it produces a gravity and an anti-gravity wave. It produces a gravity and an anti-gravity wave. The gravity wave is the yin, it's the condensing force that produces the heavier elements. The yang is the decondensing force, and that produces the lighter elements. And so I said that I predicted to my colleague in California that if he took some aluminium foil, put it under his ultrasonic tank and ran it for a bit of time, and then he got a magnet and he went round and picked up some things that get picked up by a magnet and put it under his SEM, he would see iron-rich crenellated microspheres that would be hollow. That's a very specific thing when it's never in the literature. Right? And I'm doing it because this is what I believe the process is. Well, he found them. He found these iron-rich crenellated spheres, and on the outside, he sees silicon dioxide. Exactly what we see in the plasma system, exactly what is claimed in the 2003 patent by S.V. Adamenko. And the structures are, in fact, hollow. Okay? And they have this coherent iron layer and this more oxygen-rich layer. And this, by the way, the ratio to this is golden ratio. It's absolutely amazing. Everything is replete with golden ratio. This is a plasma reactor, the same Vega experiment from Henk Uren. Here is an iron-rich crenellated sphere. There's 2 more up here on the zinc and copper oxide. And here it is spewing out. What is it spewing out? It's spewing out carbon and oxygen. This is majority carbon here by Matsumoto. And what else is it producing? Well, we look we're also seeing aluminium, and that is a combination of carbon and oxygen coming together and producing aluminium and hydrogen. Okay, that is what's called an exchange reaction. We see silicon, which is the fusion of carbon and oxygen, and we see iron, which is the fusion of two carbon and oxygens and together. So two carbon oxygens make silicon, and two silicons make iron. Okay, so you can see the progression that you see in natural ball lightning. Now, if we look at these toroidal disks that have ejected themselves from the magnetic pole hole, what do we see? We see titanium, up to 21% by weight. What is titanium? Titanium is the fusion of CO2. It's the fusion of CO2. That's what's being produced here in a device that's designed to clean up the emissions from hydrocarbon engines, the internal combustion engine. I predicted that this would have these same structures on there, and lo and behold, they do. And because they inject water, and water is the key, as I said earlier, because of its spin and paramagnetic natures for the various components. And what do you see? Iron-rich crenellated spheres. You see sulfur. Sulfur is the fusion of two oxygen atoms. And you can see calcium, iron, sulfur, oxygen. All these things typically get synthesized. Here's another one close up here. And here it is hollow. This is one of them again. This is in Malcolm Bendel's thunderstorm generator. We have hollow iron-rich crenellated microspheres being synthesized in there. Here's one in the cavitation system of Binwen Huang. This produced over a COP of 4, and I predicted it would produce carbon. I predicted it would produce oxygen 17 from the fusion of protons and oxygen 16. That two oxygen 17s would come and using a coherent matter wave. This is an Amaza's vibrator system. This is the same periodic structure that's changed the spin of the aluminium, and then we have silicon and then titanium again.
So this is one of the spheres that busted open, right? It started from basically nothing, or whatever it could pull in to begin the process, right? Of forming this kind of these kind of spheres. But I just find it super fascinating of how these things on a small level, and then I'll watch the last part here about how they split and what's needed and how much electrical force is needed to form these kinds of structures, right? Let me get to go up a little bit here. Right there, that's where I wanted to get. Okay. Once again, here's the beginning stages, right, of a toroid, or I'm sorry, a torus. And then he'll give you the science behind it and the math here of what's going on. Oh yeah, the last point. In this illustration here, you see D, it's got a certain spin direction, right? Starting here, and then it works its way around, right, until it forms a perfect sphere. But then this one
area. Now in 20,
this one would be spinning. Well, that one, I don't think it's that one. But anyway, you see how it gets intertwined with itself, right? Well, when there's two next to each other, once the torus, right, is fully how do I say it? Fully formed, right? And then whatever particles here in the middle, right? If you have two of these together, 1, 2, I would, say one right here, right? Well, when they are on one sphere, and when this is fully formed, both of them, you'll see in a second where they are spinning in the opposite directions, right? Because if you take that 2D overlay that they had a second ago and you picture it in a 3D manner, right? in a 3D manner, then this would form in that sphere. It would look like our stars do from the equator. You know, if you're standing on the equator, like perfectly on the equator, and you're looking at a 90-degree zenith above your head or just out in front of you, right? Then you're on the equator and you're looking due west. Then on your right hand side, if you do a star trail kind of experiment, well, you're going to see the southern set of stars and the northern set. What that is it's the torus. You're looking up inside the torus where it spins opposite ways. That's the stars, right? And that's the only way it could happen is if you're looking up at it. It's really a circle, complete circle, because if you turn your back, right, and you're looking due east now, right, you're not going to see the same thing. You're going to see the inside of the horseshoe, right, kind of shape of the other side of the torus. Anyway, I don't explain things the best, but you'll see in a second. Let me go to it now, and then because I have a couple more things I want to share with you before we get off here and finish it up. Where are we at here? There it is, right there. Okay, I'll let him finish up. It's right after this. Okay. 5 more minutes.
2022, I presented in Assisi in Italy that I thought that we would see these things in cavitation systems. I proposed this again in late 2023 in December the 6th, I think it was, in Taipei to Benjamin Huang. And I said, I expect to see these things in your systems. He gave me a sample on the 29th of December 2023. And on March 2024, I got enough money together, donated, so I could analyze it. And this is what we saw under the microscope.
Here it is. Okay, here it is. Here it is. I'm going to show you an illustration. If you guys can see my mouse, okay, right here, we'll say that, oh, this thing will go away now. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this slow and easy so it don't interfere. Okay, we're going to say this is the ground. This is flat Earth, right? All this area right here is flat. Now, if you are a human being, it's represented by my mouse, my little pointer here.
Perfect.
And I'm looking due west. Let's say this direction. If I split the middle here, this is due west. And I'm looking up. Well, if I look to my left, this is the southern star rotation. Okay. You see how it trickles down all the way to here. Okay. There's the center point. Now, this is on the right. This would be the northern set of stars. Or not, there's not two different sets, but anyway, you get the point. So if you would think 3D, then it would continue curving over here the rest of the stars. Okay. So basically, it's a huge circular. It's just from the ground, it doesn't look like it's a complete circle, right? You just see to your left and right, and they are spinning in opposite directions. Okay? Spinning that way, and the other spinning this way.
Yin yang, and each of the yin yangs, the yin has a yang and a yin, and the yang has a yang and a yin.
All right, we're going to end it there. There's the vortex and anti-vortex pair. All right, guys. I'm going to show you now some actual, instead of just on the micro, we're going to look and see how it all ties together, right? In the macro. Okay, I'm going to come back and check out chat one time. Let's see how long I've been on. Probably, yeah, about 2.5 hours. That's what I was expecting, about 3 hours. Cool, man. Yeah, Berkeley Currents. Okay. Jeeps, you are a wealth of knowledge. I appreciate you engaging in the chat. I need to get you a wrench. Is it Holy Hill? You're a small type of transient luminous advance, Maybe some folding sheets. All right. I possibly figured out why Earth is a dipole with quadrupole behavior. Okay. Yeah, it does have quadrupole behavior. Absolutely. According to the projection, the AE projection, I got lost trying to understand the creator. I hear you there. Yeah, I don't think I fully understand the creator. I just know that there is one, and I feel highly connected to my real father. I guess I could say that. And, it. I know a lot of people wouldn't refer to something, a force that they can't interact with directly. Well, I guess you can. You just have to kind of forget the the thoughts in your head saying that it's something with bipedal, a kind of thing. But I guess we are always interacting directly with the creator's creation. Let's put it that way, right? I mean, now if I could sit down and play a game of like spades with God, that would be pretty cool. I would enjoy that, I think. Yeah. Okay, so let me just look right here what I'm gonna finish out with. Jeeps, have you ever been introduced to the primer fields? David Lapointe, his work. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but very genius guy. Does a lot of work with plasma, right? And I'd say it's kind of like Birkeland currents in a way, because at that 0 point where these toroids meet in his lab, right? They create this turning that is very ordered, right? Turning, but I have a I don't know, this hunch, like if there wasn't if he didn't do it in a how do you say it? If he didn't do his experiments in a vacuum chamber and he could do it in the open, I think a Birkeland current would form, or there would be some kind of like a squid looking plasma with these tentacles that are twisting and turning. And then still the light bulbs went off in my head. Yeah, always recommend it. Yeah, yeah, it does. Explains a lot. A lot. And yes, it took me I don't know, it kind of hit me because I've always thought of things as fractal. So it hit me when I seen the big like copper bowl outside of CERN, right? And it just looked all worn, like it had been there for thousands of years. I am a late boomer. So the way it looked is like, I knew all these other buildings as well were energy harvesting machines. And I do think that there was um, a very much higher charge in the air uh, at a certain point in history. And I think it got shorted out somehow, like the lighthouses and stuff like that were all connected. Like there was, I think the other society or cultures knew how to exploit the Earth's energy grid. Have a sphere. Was that the one outside of CERN in the David Lapointe videos? If not, I'll go check it out and see what you're. If I just type in like Fermi Lab Dome, would that pull it up? You think? Let's see. Uh, um, yeah, it's CERN. Yeah, okay, it's called Fermi Lab. Yeah, that dome was amazing looking. Like It's almost like it would be like a latitude, longitude system, but in a dome shape. Yeah, I think, let me type that in right quick. And also, if you guys are interested in what the DARPA N3 things that they're doing right here, I'll drop this link if you guys want me to. But if you can read, where are we at? Let me go up top. It's a word that it's hard for me to pronounce, but tells a little bit more about it. There it is. That right there. Electroencephalography. Oh, EEG. Okay. Yeah. So this is what they're doing, experimenting on. This is like the latest neuromodulation therapies, as they call them. But yeah, I'll leave that up for a second, and I'll just type it in over here. Well, okay, stop jumping around there. Oh yeah, this too. Geez, I've got a lot of stuff to go over. Like I've got so many ideas and things that I really want to tell people about, because it's going to come down to when the 2030 agenda is fully implemented, then the technology, people are just going to be like, oh, that's cool, let's try that on, let's do the headset thing, but they don't realize that things are being already placed into your mind, and they can even rewrite your history in your own head, to where things that they say happen didn't really happen, but you're gonna believe them because it's like a memory. Man, dude, that is scary. But yeah, let me go to Fermilab Dome here. Okay. All right here. Back. Okay, so let me end this. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay. Fermilab Dome. Fermilab Dome. Fermi. Give me Ernie. Okay, let's see. F-E-R. Me. Oops, go back. Hi. Me. Let's see. Fermilab Dome. Here we go. This is the Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory. Let me go down a little bit. I'm not sure if that's the one. Geodesic Dome, a lab. No, that's not it. Architecture at Fermilab. And building originally from bubble chamber building. Oh, here it is. Okay, yeah, let me click on this. Check this one out. Oh man, that's huge, ain't it? Don't think, is that the one there, that building? Or is it an actual, like a half a sphere? Dang, look at that. It's crazy looking. I'm gonna come back over to chat real quick just to see if you yeah, Fermilab. That's not it. It's a brown dome. Oh, go to images. Okay, I got you. Got you. Got you. Where was that at? There we go. Let's see. We see images, creative endeavors on travel. Polar opposites. Let me look in here. Recent images. Check that out. Hey, they got that spiral. San Felipe Estate. I don't know nothing about that. Let's see, let me go here. I'll just go back over to images over here. I got you. It takes all night. I got you. Go back, go back. Talk out loud. I don't know why I talk out loud all the time. I say people that talk to themselves are smart, but I don't claim all that stuff. I guess I do that because it helps me to remember things, I guess. Check that out though. That looks cool. Let's see. Let me go. Observatory. No. Is it this one? Bubble chamber? Is that one? Yeah, that must be it, huh? What the fuck? It's like some Willy Wonka looking shit. Oh, they're next to each other. Okay. They must operate as a pair. Check it out. Oh my goodness. I'm pretty sure this is the one you're talking about. I'll come back over and look at the comments. But here's an original. It looks like when it was still on its side. Check it out. In the world. That looks like that reminds me of the balloon apparatus that Picard. Remember Auguste Picard went up. He was the first man to be like 50,000 feet above. Check this out. Ooh, what is this? Here's completion, and it's set to cover elusive ghost particles. Wow, I've never seen that one. I know there's a lot of them, but that's exciting to look at. Okay, let me come up here just to make sure. It's a table of points primer. Okay, yeah, okay, that's what I figured. Yeah, that's what I figured that it was in because that's what really hit me when I seen it. I mean, right away, especially when they were showing the like plasma burn, like the rotational marks on the those bowls, you know, the small bowls that he uses, and then match that up with, you know, like these domes that are everywhere that have these absent, like it's cut out, you know, in different shapes. Some are circles, some are square, but they're like layered. They go inward. Yeah, like the hexagon. Yeah, and you know, it just I always have this strong feeling when I see that they took something out of those, right? Because it looked like a machine straight up when I seen it. I was like, hold on, you know, this is different. And then I started thinking of, you know, how everything has gotten smaller, it seems like, especially according to the buildings and the architecture. You know, was it that for acoustics? You know, I think it was for some type of resonant function, and I think honestly that these were connecting with something in the sky because uh, there were always, you know, not just these are not just like energy harvesting, but I think they were some of those domes were for transmitting as well, and not always for reception. You know, like they do now. They just reverse engineer everything nowadays, like, you know, for that kind of interaction with the environment. So yeah, I'm gonna look a little bit more of this. But this is what I just for the sake of, you know, other people that will come in later or at another time to see this, just for reference, I want to show them what, you know, from the micro to the macro, you know, plasma toroid structures. And the reason why I say it's a gradient, like a plasmatic gradient from what we can't see, metaphysical, right, to the crystalline structures of, like diamond or something like that. Like and then in the middle, there's something called topological conductors, right? And these topological conductors they're classified as a liquid solid, right? So all of the crystalline components are connecting, these inner structures like lattice work, but it allows for movement and flexibility. So this is why it's important that when I say it's a fractal plasma gradient, it's because you see the effects of the toroidal from the seed, right, to the growth. It's always going upward and it's always twisting, turning, like spinning. You see the effects, but you don't see it with your human eye, right? You just see the effects. So I want people to take what I've shown them from, these studies and talking about the plasmas and on a micro scale, right? And then now I'm gonna show you the forces that are applied on everything from the stars turning right to the ground. And the reason why these things grow upward and twist, right, is because the ground is neutral or negative. Some people call it negative, but I say it's neutral. And then it increases exponentially as it goes up toward the sun and the solar winds, right? So those forces, we don't feel them every day, but they're there. Okay, it's not gravity. But here we go. I'm going to play a little bit of this, and then I will hang out for a minute, and I'll be done. All right, here we go.
In the 13th century, a mathematician named Leonardo Fibonacci discovered an important number sequence.
It's a very simple sequence of numbers, starting with the number 1 twice. Each succeeding number in the sequence is the sum of the 2 preceding ones. So the sequence goes 1, 1, and 2, and 3, and 5, and so on. And for reasons that are pretty mysterious, this sequence of numbers seems to appear in a wide variety of places in the natural world.
The logarithmic spiral depicts growth and expansion in the universe. For example, if we look at the branching tendencies of a tree, we see that as time progresses, one spiral expands as the number of branches increases.
This isn't the one I was trying to play. Bad. Just close this out. And where was the other one I wanted to show? There it is. This one's interesting. And
I'm sometimes asked, why am I sort of...
So the cool thing about this one, guys, and I'll let it play all the way through, but what's cool about this one is you get to see the motion of what we seen under the microscope a minute ago with these toroids, right? And the forces and the self I don't want to say replicating, but the intelligence of the plasma, right? And how it self-assimilates, I guess you could say. But anyway, this is built in to be a fractal verse, I guess you can call it. Well, here we go. This is very interesting.
So intrigued with spirals. What is it about spirals? And I think part of the answer is that I just find them beautiful. But I think spirals also make reference to the fact that you can never return to the same place again, that nothing ever does truly repeat. It goes infinitely small and it goes infinitely large. It's endless. And, we sort of don't know where we came from and we don't know where we're going. And we're just sort of this, this piece of that larger picture. I'm John Edmark. I'm an artist, designer, and inventor, and I teach at Stanford University. I don't think of myself as a sculptor. Clearly, the works are sculptures of sorts, but in a sense, that's a coincidence. They're just the medium that I'm using to ask and answer questions that I'm interested in. The driving motivation in my work is a search for unusual behaviors, things that are non-intuitive, that maybe seem impossible. Math has a kind of precision and a way of clarifying relationships that allows me to achieve some of these behaviors and patterns that I'm trying to create. I was working with essentially flat puzzles. I noticed that perimeter never changed shape, it just changed in scale as you added or removed pieces. And that then led to the notion of stacking these one on top of the other and rotating them relative to each other to cause these patterns to appear in the form of sort of plateaus that can move up and down the tower. And I'm rotating it each time, I'm rotating it at 137.5 degrees, the golden angle, which is based on the golden ratio. The golden ratio is the ratio where the smaller is to the larger as the larger is to the whole. And it ends up, this is a very powerful generative ratio. Anytime you create a pattern using the golden angle, you're going to end up with spirals appearing, and it's actually been shown mathematically to be the best way to distribute leaves on a stem to minimize overlap. Say a leaf or a petal or a seed gets put out here, the next one will get put out 137 degrees around over here, and the next one then gets put out 137 degrees over here, and around and around and around, placing these and placing these. And when that's done in that fashion, you end up getting these kinds of very evenly distributed seed heads. But the spirals are actually a symptom of this process of placing each bud 137 degrees around from the previous bud. When I was wanting to demonstrate this transforming nature of the towers, I decided to animate them. And when I animated it, I was surprised to discover that not only did it show plateaus appearing and disappearing, but there was this very strong sense of continuity of the plateaus moving down the tower or up the tower.
What does that look like, guys? Nature. I mean, here we go. So beautiful, though.
About 5 years later, I suddenly realized, oh, what if I just keep on rotating the entire tower, not just the next level? And in fact, blooms are a direct descendant of a multi-year long sequence of explorations on these golden angle spiral geometry studies. I call them blooms because they tend to have a sense of blossoming, opening, expanding to them as they animate. When a bloom is animating, it's endless. If a plant could grow forever, it would kind of be doing that blooming behavior forever. The first thing I do is I have to create the structure for it, and that is, of course, based on using the golden angle. So I place where the elements are going to be, and then I shape those elements. Depending on what I want the behavior to be, I will then animate them, making them expand, making them rotate. Blooms can be filmed in two ways. You can actually run a strobe that is synchronized to the camera's film rate, or if you set the camera to use a very short shutter speed, it will behave effectively like a strobe. Because the elements of the bloom are essentially frames of animation, if the frames aren't exactly aligned, you're going to get a non-smooth flow. The kind of distortions and warpings that you see happening are a result of me slightly breaking the rule of rotating by the golden angle. And so they're moving back and forth in terms of hovering around that angle, and that causes them to have this kind of warped, distorted effect. I think my work is most successful when it evokes a sense of wonder, when it sort of seems to be magical. What I'm trying to achieve in my work is something that will evoke that in somebody else.
That reminded me of a star fort. That last one. Oh, and what are starports? Oh, what are they? Were they interconnected as well on one of our ages? If I could say that right. Ages of think there's been 5 ages of different beings on this earth. Oh, I've got so much research on that too. Okay, so you see that geometry is one of the coolest. Let me turn this off. One of the coolest. Well, I don't want to remove that yet. Put this on. But yeah, that was I mean that I don't know. I like if you're into art, and stuff like that. It's something that will pass the time, but at the same time, you're you're mimicking, I guess you could say, nature and how nature works. And the best thing I would say, yeah, basalt column, absolutely right. Intelligent design. Yeah, I think that if you are like into nature, like, and you really study, right, with these geometries and these maths, and you have a camera, like a good camera, you could do a time lapse of growing, growing a plant, and that not only is humbling and interesting, it also cleans your air around you in your house, you know. So, but yeah, the way that the pressures are put on a seed, let's say just a seed, um, is symmetric. Okay, and there is always opposite polarity magnetic forces from different polarities put on that seed. So then when water it comes and expands, the seed breaks its shell and grows, it's still, as it grows upward, is having that force spiral around on it, right? And then if you ever do the project, or if you just go online and look at the plants, growing, you'll see it wobble back and forth. Like if you do it in kind of a fast mode time lapse, and you'll just see it dance round and round and round. And it's not just because of weight, right? It's not weight or gravity. It's toroidal lifting. It's a lifting, right? It wants that information, from the sun and stuff. Yeah, that's pretty cool. This is where they got the idea to sell those. You remember back in the late '90s, early 2000s, the little dancing plants, that had music, and those little dancing fish, and moving plants. The Earth Rising is moving the plants. Explain that a little bit more, Jeep, if you can, if you don't mind. I'm curious about that, but I'm not sure exactly how to approach that topic because I've never, spoke much about it. Earth Rising. Is it? Oh, you're being funny. Yeah, that's I who knows, man? We might just be on some weird rock flying through infinite space, just falling, or no, not falling. Oh yeah, it would be Earth Rising, right? If we're just falling into nothing, and they say gravity is always inward, then somebody on the bottom of the ball would be falling, but his perspective, Earth will be rising, right? But yeah, it does. It does. Absolutely debunks gravity. Yes. And dark energy. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's it's a cool thing that I came across him because actually it was through another guy that I watch, Jay Dreamers. I don't know if you know Jay or not. Um, he's always had some really informative stuff as well. So it's unnecessary for record. Yes, that's right. That's right. There were a few people though trying to like legitimize that argument, right? Like a group of people. Whatever happened to them? Do you know? 'Cause I'm not sure. I heard a little bit. I just kind of heard everybody, I don't know, cracking on them, I guess. So I didn't really get in it, something like that. But yeah, man. So let me look one more time up through here and see if I covered everything. Well, I swear this mouse gets stuck on everything. Like a dream. Oh, I know. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so this will be the one I finished on.
Welcome back, deep divers. Make sure you hit like.
Okay, this is the last one. Yep, it's about 20 minutes. And then I will be signing off with one of my songs that I don't think I've ever played it for anybody. Roger played one of my songs the other day. That was cool of him on his podcast. So, but anyway, here we go. This is it.
Like and subscribe if you want more deep dives like this one. Tonight we are diving into a mystery that has been lighting up the internet. Unidentified lights, or orbs, spotted over New Jersey. Could they be connected to the Hessdalen lights in Norway? Or even to plasmoid research happening right here in the US? We've got articles, YouTube videos, and even some scientific papers. Let's see if we can connect the dots and shed some light on these puzzles.
Indeed. There was speculation, ranging from advanced spy drones to extraterrestrial spacecraft. Some even suggested it could be a sign of election interference or, believe it or not, an Iranian mothership lurking off the coast. Of course, we need to approach such claims with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Right. It's easy to let our imaginations run wild when we're dealing with the unknown. But before we jump to conclusions, let's examine the evidence more closely. What exactly did these witnesses see, and what are the most plausible explanations?
Well, many describe the lights as bright orbs, moving silently and erratically across the sky. Some reported seeing them hovering in place, changing direction abruptly, or even vanishing and reappearing in different locations. This unpredictable behavior has led some to rule out conventional aircraft or drones. However, we need to consider the possibility of misidentification, especially given the challenges of accurately perceiving objects in the night sky.
So are you saying these UFOs could have been something as mundane as airplanes?
Yeah. Anyway, that was older than I thought. So yeah, I won't
Welcome back, deep
bore it.
divers. Make sure you hit like and subscribe.
I won't bore everybody with that one. All right, let me go back up here. I'm just going to run through a few things here that I really wanted to let you guys know about. Maybe real-time development. I want to see what is this? Unity. Where did I'm not sure. Analysis. Yeah, I do a lot of the Copilot stuff. This right here, if you guys, I'm just going to put it up on screen real quick and y'all can screenshot or go to it in y'all's time. But this is on DARPA's. Oh, don't close. That's not it. I'm not sure where. Here it is. Here it is. So this is DARPA. This is one of their offices, and you guys will be floored to learn some of what they do on here. Pretty weird. Yeah, pretty weird. That they are starting to patent red blood cells to heal the soldiers a lot quicker. Well, we know that nanotech is big now, right? I mean, it's been something for a while. in the military, but now they're coming out in the open talking about the red blood cell stuff, which is just daunting to think about, like what is in that stuff, It says that it can heal wounds and stuff like that, like super quick. And then you can come down here and click on some of these people, read about them and what they do. And this right here, this is what I'm talking about, the smart, yeah, you can see that there. Smart red blood cells. And if y'all look into that, but yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to show. And then this, so genetics. And then also, I'll jump off that, but check this out, talking about nodes in a network. Well, I hate to say it, but we are nodes in a large network. We as humans we wonder about our energy being drained, and we feel like, we're just not motivated lately. I've heard a lot of people say that. And yeah, so there's a lot of information being routed through our bodies. They even store in our bodies. Anyway, I'll jump off that. I don't want to go too deep into it, but that's it right there. You check out that. And the Department of Homeland Security, National Institute of Health, read about why they are so wanting to put everything on the blockchain and have our energy harvested, doing work, quote unquote, for crypto, to earn crypto. Well, yeah, really dive into that. It's not for this stream, but yeah, I'll jump back on in a few days. Let Christmas do its thing and visit with family. What does that say? Reload. Wow, what am I reloading? But with that being said, I really hope everyone has a a good Christmas, and I hope that you get to visit with some family and do things that you haven't got to do lately. I know I enjoy not opening presents, because I don't really get presents like that anymore. I don't really buy stuff for everyone like I used to. So I just like, the meal, right? The laughs with everyone, and mainly, just having those deep conversations with the loved ones. That's my favorite thing about the holidays, right? Or about this holiday. And yeah, I appreciate you being here. Jeeps, thank you. Merry Christmas to you as well. Yes, and I've got so much more to share, and I just really need to buckle down and do it on a regular basis, like I see everyone else doing. Like I noticed, two or three other people that didn't start that long ago are on pretty often. I've just got to find a happy medium, happy medium to where I'm not, on at the same exact time as other people. But I'm gonna try to do like 3 days a week from now on. And yeah, and there's a lot. I mean, it's very deep subjects, and there's a lot of things that I'm going to start dropping as far as my personal research. And I've done a lot of that already over on X. If you guys don't have my X, it's at Russell G711. And yeah, over there you'll find a lot of things. But anyway, God bless everyone, and I'll close out here with a short prayer. And thank y'all again. Father, just ask that you bring joy this holiday seasons. You bring the love and that deep companionship, and just try to keep everyone in a state of mind that is positive and will um, that will contribute and help others that see that. And Father, just um, let people um, celebrate not with material things, but with um, the knowledge that your Son came and He spared all of us, and just help people understand that the more that they go inward to that kingdom within them that you put there, um, that you open their heart up um, and inspire others to do the same. And Father, I pray these things in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, y'all. God bless. And I'm gonna close out with a song. Uh, I'm gonna play the same song that I opened up with because it's such a good song by Mr. Alex Michael, CMG, Conspiracy Music Guru. Let me go over here because I can just open one of these up. You guys, I'm gonna have to start wearing glasses because, man, good Lord, it's like my vision gets so blurry. I close my eyes and then when I open them up, I can't read anything. But anyway, I'm not complaining. Let me go here and I can't see the comments, but I will here in a second. Let me get this song going, and then no, I will have closing remarks for anyone that's got a request or a question. Don't be too shy to ask. I like this kind of conversation. It's good. All right, here we go. And if I could sing, it'd be awesome. And rap. I don't want to rap and mess up. I embarrass myself. All right, here we go.
We're gonna get into it, man. Yeah, man, let's get into it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Paranoia is in bloom. The PR transmissions will resume. They'll try to push drugs to keep us all dumbed down and hope that we will never see the truth around. Another promise, another scene, another package lie to keep us trapped in greed. Another green belts are wrapped around our minds, an endless red tape to keep the truth confined. They will not force us. They will stop degrading us. They will not control us. We will be victorious. Interchanging mind control, come let the revolution take its toll. If you could flick the switch and open your third eye, you'd see that we should never be afraid to die. Rise up and take the power back. It's time the black cats had a heart attack. You know that their time's coming to an end. We have to unify and watch our flag ascend. They will not force us. They will stop degrading us. They will not control us. We will be victorious. They will not force us. They will stop degrading us. They will not control us. We will be
We are awesome.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a blessed night. And Jeeps, yes, I can help you with that uh, on the nights that I'm on. You know, um, I'm going to try to shoot for Sundays, Wednesdays, and like maybe Thursdays or Friday. That way, I've got a little bit of time in between each session, and yeah, and you can always drop what you want a little help with, what topic or um, something hypersensitive if it's, or specific. I mean, then yeah, try Fermilab at surname. It almost looks like a beehive. Yeah, yeah, that's it's actually really cool. Let me see right quick. Yeah, that I wonder if 1 second, let me see. If I just type it in, I could say images. Yeah. Let's see for me. And let's see images. Mm-hmm. See. It's not letting me go. There we go. Trying to find out. Yeah, I may have to like screenshot it from from the goodness gracious, oh, now it's going to bug me there. I can't find it. There it is. Gotcha. That's so crazy looking, ain't it? Do that. It's got like a little bent piece of metal out here too. I don't know what that's about. Oh, is this inside of it? Huh. Almost looks like I'm going to go down a little bit more. Yeah, don't have many pictures of it. You know, I think that thing is like ancient. That's what I think. I wonder if this is inside of it. Let me click on that. The Muse group. That might not be it. No, I don't think that's it. Have you seen, oh, have you ever seen the inside of it? Jeeps. Um, but yeah, I think I'll try to jump on that in the next show. If you just remind me, or I can when I jump off here, I can collect some pictures up. You know, um, yeah, I believe it's a replica of our world in a tiny scale. You know, you might be hitting the head of the nail, like, you know what I mean? Like you might be spot on with that because everything scales. And I'm, you know, I keep telling people that. I'm like, look, dude, just because, you know, you don't believe in like UFOs or satellites or whatever, like there's definitely something above our heads and there's a lot of them, right? So, I mean, just that fact alone that, you know, you have to fight your own instinct. And, you know, a lot of these people that repeat things, Jeeps, I think it's like a psyop in a way that, you know, where people are like, you know, they back each other up and, you know, they try to dog on things that are possible, like technologies that do exist that are possible, and we can demonstrate it down here. And then if you scale it up or think about the idea of hypersonic vehicles, you know, there's no friction on them up there. And you seen, I don't know if you're here in the beginning, but when I seen these little, you know, little luminaries, little balls of plasma just jetting across the screen. I mean, these things were booking it, you know. And when you have stuff like that, and people just are like, "Oh, that's crap, man. You believe in NASA satellites? Oh, you're good," you know. And it's just like, dude, no. Like, listen, I'm like, the, in the depths of the ocean, you know, there are life form, and something that would smash our skull in the depths, right? Well, when you get up really, really high, um, it's the same thing. I think there's just electrical um entities, you know, not like little green men or nothing, but you know, and they might be souls. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I would love to be up there though and see what they see, you know. That would be very interesting to me. Like super interesting. Um, I just need we need to invest in a hypersonic vehicle, and we can go up there and hang out with them. But yeah, but anyway, I'm starting to talk goofy. I appreciate everyone tuning in, and God bless, and y'all have a good night. We will see you soon. Merry Christmas. Later.